What's going on, y'all? To be honest with y'all, I really don't even know what I'm supposed to do with this. I don't know if I'm supposed to share with y'all or not. Uh, I woke up the other day and I was thinking about, I don't know, I like to do like researches and stuff on different like characters and stuff, just understanding, thinking, analyzing, whatever words you want to use. But I was thinking about the character of David, and I thought it was interesting. Um, it's funny. I was thinking about the character of David. This is the complete talk. Yeah, she's okay. David, in the Bible, and I don't hear it talked about. I never really hear people talk about how um, David, and I think this is my favorite scripture, how he fought against the lion and the bear, and he snatched. I think it's in Chronicles, the lion and the bear, and how he snatched, and how he snatched the lambs out of the sheep or lambs out of the out of out of the wolf's and the bear's teeth and the lion's teeth or whatever. And I think that was his real practice. And like just going through the characteristics, because I used to read about it and stuff a lot, and I know that they said, because just different versions that you read, but he said he was prudent, so he was wise. He was wise even though he had issues, so he used wisdom. And then like his name means beloved, so that means he loved God. He loved God. And what I think about this, when I think about his relationship with his grandparents. If you could think of like how a person may have a relationship with with your grandparents or how it goes and whatnot, and I could just imagine some of the conversations that he had with Ruth and Boaz, and just think about if you're talking to just your grandmother Ruth, and she's talking about now. And the crazy thing is, like, these are like two people from the different side of the Bible or Scripture. Like one already had like a foundational relationship with God, and one was kind of learning through someone, because like you kind of look up the story of Ruth. Like she was married before, da, da, da. She followed her grandmother from Midianite to, I don't want to say Jerusalem. I'm not sure. It was someplace where Boaz was at, and she ended up meeting Boaz or whatever. But like before she met Boaz, the mother told her to do these different things, or her mother-in-law, because like all the men of the family had died, and that was she was trying to find her kingsman redeemer, and Boaz was her kingsman redeemer, and well he was a second in line to be her kingsman redeemer, and he said there's somebody more closer to her to be the king's redeemer, and she talked to him. The mother was like, "Oh yeah, he's wise with it. He'll do it." And I just think, I'm sorry, I try to give you the backstory. My bad, but just think about the conversations you would have with your grandmother in talking about God. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that would be very interesting conversations. Um, Talking on, I don't know if the backside of God is good, but she's coming from, we'll say the other side. The other side. Yeah, that sounds better. The other side of God. I don't hope that doesn't sound worse. I think it sounds better. Like, and then, but he was more on the front side. That's why I said back before, the front side of God. I don't know. I'm just rolling with it. I'm roll. At this point, I'm rolling with it. Okay. Okay. All right. then his conversations with his father or his grandfather, Boaz, and what he's doing, and like how his because I'm wondering was his grandfather married before? They really said a lot about it. To my understanding, it's all in Chronicles, and this is just like, and I do this just going on these different journeys, like in my mind and thinking, trying to understand. I wonder what that relationship was like. Oh, what did they talk about? What are some things that happened? What are some things that happened with Boaz and how he acted as a person and how he was in his community and stuff like that. And then thinking that David is like, he's like the eighth son of eight, and they were all boys and they were all tall and handsome and things like that. And he was shorter, but he had the duty of being the sheep herdsman. But yet he played the harp, and how that all kind of played into the role of it, according to the story. Whether you believe or not. But that's what I thought was very interesting. And this is, I think, probably the thing that people don't really take into consideration. He was technologically advanced, because think about it, like, you hear the word sling and you don't think technology, but think about a sling is able to fire or swing an object at a high rate of speed, and that could be deadly accurate, to hit a target right on. Like, when you really try to break down what is a sling and how accurate a person could get if they have practice. Now, and he took it out of, and that's why I said he took it out of a lion and a bear's mouth. So he was able to disarm them. And I'm assuming that he used the same tactics as he did with Goliath, because he said and then he went and cut off Goliath's head. I think that's how it goes, or whatever. And he did that, but he also had enough wisdom to know not to use Saul's armor, because he said, "I'm not familiar with these." I think those were the words that he used. And so he went as he was, how he was prepared for during the time, which I thought was real good. So I just put sling as just technology and being wise and sound and becoming proficient at doing those things. And then I'll say, like, with the 8 brothers that he had, having humility. I think that would really make you have humility. Right. Yeah. Humility as a person, because you're the youngest of the 8 brothers. And, because even when he went to the camp afterwards, before he fought Goliath, and the brother said, "What, are you here to stir up trouble again?" or something like that. So I don't know if he was a troublemaker or wasn't a troublemaker, but according to his brothers, they thought of him as a troublemaker, and he had trouble with women and stuff like that. So, like, because he did have many wives. So I don't know. I'm just wondering about that. But these are like things that I don't hear people talk about David. You know what I'm saying? They don't talk about that. And I think it should be talked about more. Maybe they talk about it, I hear it, but I don't hear them like talk. And people do their studies and stuff like that. But I think it's important for people to know, like, kind of the different characteristics. And then that, he spent time, he was able to play the harp, and that was where he had worship. And he just had, I would say, an affinity in music, because just think about it. And some people may know, if you're with animals and you're out there by yourself, you're the shepherd, you have to entertain yourself or whatever. What can you do? You practice throwing a sling. You could deal with the sheep. The sheep don't talk back. You might see a herdsman every now and then. You might say hello to them. You might have to move the sheep from here to there. And I don't know, because I'm not a herdsman or whatever, but I watch a lot of like nature stuff or whatever. So I can only assume. And then I'm thinking, like, so what do? You kind of play the harp, and that probably gives you peace. Maybe it helps bring the animal peace. Maybe it's a way of you in touch. Maybe it's something your grandmother taught you, or that you learned to do, or that you picked up, or that you sang a song or something with your grandma or whatever. So that was his way of worshiping God, and he probably had a lot of conversation with God, and maybe his parents told him, or his grandparents told him a lot of times, and probably his parents too, like, if you're having troubles or struggles, talk to God, and that's why he had such a closer relationship to God, maybe, or whatever. So I'm just thinking that, and then his friend. I mean, he had many friends, but his friend was Joshua. His friend was Joshua, and he had just like, if that's his friend, he just had such a great relationship where Joshua would give him his armor, and he would let him take the place, because like, and it's like, because it isn't like David took it and stole it away from Saul. Saul kind of relinquished it before he tore the robe of Elijah. Elijah was dead. He got a mystic to bring her up and stuff like that. He went through all those different phases of it. But but Joshua saw him as who he was, and that he was a friend. And he said, like, he just, I don't know. It's kind of hard to put it into words. Just his relationship with him, and how he asked his father about David, and how his father got angry about it. But I don't think his father Saul was really angry about David. I think he was more angry about himself. Because if you go in the story of Saul, I think it was back in Chronicles, like, he lied. Saul lied to his dad when his dad asked him what happened, and the servant had to say that they met with the man of God, Elijah, and he said that he would be king or something like that. And and then for Saul to, somewhere in the story later on, after he had a son and he started having the kingdom or whatever, he made a stupid proclamation or whatever. He was like, no one shall eat until the time that we have slain all the whatever they was doing, chasing our people or whatever. And his son ended up eating honey, which was Joshua. He ended up, is it Joshua? Jonathan. I'm messing up the whole thing. My bad, y'all. Jonathan. Yeah. Where he had eaten it, and then like that kind of cursed him or whatever, and cursed him and then cursed him or whatever. So it's just something just to kind of think of, like, how that kind of changed the trajectory. And like, David never hurt him. David, the close thing did was cut the hem of his robe, which he felt guilty about. The men were trying to encourage him to do it. He was in his cave after Saul was chasing him and things like that. So, but to have a relationship with that, and then even he had such a relationship with Jonathan that his son Melchizedek ended up serving on his court or whatever, because of the relationship he had with the father. And I think that is so key. And I just like hear, and I just get like iterations from, and a good book to read would be Marcus Aurelius. And I just think that was just a surrounding himself with good people, doing good things and stuff like that. So I think there might be more and other stuff I don't really remember right now. Like, again, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do with this, but I mean, I don't know. I want to say it, get it out there or whatever. Don't bury your talents. And I think what he struggled with, I'll put an X for it, is with discipline, and that's with discipline with women, and that's what I think was his struggle or his downfall, because it was where he had took Bathsheba or whatever, and maybe he was supposed to get Bathsheba. Maybe Uri was supposed to die in that war or whatever, but he was supposed to be at war anyway, because in the Bible it said, he was supposed to go off war. And this is just, studying the word or whatever, studying and extracting the information. He was supposed to go, he was supposed to go to war. That's when kings were supposed to go to war, but his eyes were distracted by Bathsheba. But my question is this: was Bathsheba trying to get his attention too? I mean, did she not know the king was out there at certain times too? I'm not trying to make excuse for it. I'm just saying for that. But because I heard and listened to some other stuff, I'm not making no excuses. But I'm just saying I'm thinking about the discipline and how he was still a good king. He was still honorable in God's eyes, even though he had made that mistake. He had repented to Nathan, who was then the prophet at that time, and just trying to get it right with God. And then even when he was on his deathbed and he had all those different sons beforehand or whatever, he didn't sleep with his servant at the particular time when he was an old man, which could probably cause more issues with his lineage and Solomon and stuff like that. But Jesus was still able to come through that, come through his lineage after 42 years or whatever. And so I'm just thinking, like, from that perspective, like how I just don't hear people talk about all his different characters, his good, his bad, his right, his wrong, and that a person, can make mistakes and come back from it and do different things. And even to, like, but there were other people in the Bible, like, what's the guy's name? It's a dude, he ran out of his clothes. Joshua? No, is it Joshua? Oh, shoot, my bad. Coat of many colors. He had a coat of many colors. I can't remember his name right now. His name slips me, but he had a coat of many colors, and his brothers threw him into the pit or whatever. I think it. Oh, was it Joshua? He threw him into the pit and stuff like that, and he ended up being like the king's servant and everything like that. But he was enticed or whatever by women and stuff like that. So I'm just thinking, like, different people would have different characters. They show all these different people in the Bible who have different characters and like go through different things. But and I like Jordan Peterson. I like a lot of different people who talk. There's another lady who I listen to talk. She kind of talks from a different perspective too. It was more urban talk, but and just relationships and psychology and stuff like that. But he kind of talked from the perspective of, like, how much of a different place or world would it be if we felt that everyone came from a place where they never made any errors and they were always right and perfect, versus they came from a place where they made mistakes and then were able to correct it, and how it shows in that. And Jordan Peterson really had a good clip on that, and I thought that was pretty good how he said that. It was very accurate. But again, that's why I just wanted to say that I thought that was helpful, insightful, and I kind of try to do that with different people and stuff that I read. And I just wanted to share that with y'all. I really wasn't sure what I was supposed to do with it, but there it is. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. I wish y'all well.